Welcome to the White Sox REKAP Podcast. I'm Ryan McGuffey alongside my guy, BA. It's good to have him back. Isn't it on the podcast? It's so good to have him back. Following up Sox Fest now, the White Sox are spring training. Pitchers and catchers report. It's literally four of my favorite words, BA. And there's actually excitement in the air about the Chicago White Sox. Yes, I know they lost 102 games last year. We're going to get into that. BA, myself, Jonathan Hood, getting the band back together as we go through the five big questions that are looming as the White Sox enter Camelback Ranch in Glendale for year two of the Will Venable experience. Let's answer those questions, and we'll have a little bit of fun. Just a little bit?
Just a bit.
Just a little bit of fun. Brian Anderson, Jonathan Hood, Guff, Ryan McGuffey, all right now on the White Sox REKAP Podcast, and it starts right now.
We're going to let them know how proud of the group we are, and certainly the momentum that they've created in the second half last year, the things that we were able to accomplish in the offseason. All these players have productive off-seasons. Our coaches did a great job in helping these guys continue to develop through the offseason. But we have to start at zero, like you said, and the focus will be those things and creating habits around those things on a daily basis.
Let's go. It's spring training. Pitchers and catchers report the four of the most magical words in sports. Brian Anderson's back. Hoodie's back. I brought the whole band out together because it's spring training. It's finally sunny in Chicago and 40 feels like 80. And we have questions that I want to ask both of you guys because before you heard Will Venable there. And look, everybody is 162-0 right now and everyone's excited, but in a White Sox specific, and I want to ask you, Hoodie, first this question, because Will Venable's talking about starting at zero. The last 3 years, including this year, we know that the White Sox aren't going to win the AL Central. But gosh, it does feel so much different heading into 2026, knowing you go back 2 years in the Pedro Grifol mess. Last year we knew it was a lot of cleanup and like a lot of what ifs in terms of when our guy's going to be here. And now you know that there's a core, and we saw a lot to like in the second half. Does this feel different to you as we go into 2026?
It does. And guys, I'm not a big body language guy. I think that's just some new age thing to try to read somebody. When I see Will Venable, man, standing up tall, talking to the media, I enjoy that because he seems more than an A to B manager to me.
Yeah, he does.
Seems like that you just, when you funnel through the young guys and figure out who can play and who can't play, Venable should still be in place. I'm not like Jerry trying to hold on to guys for 30 years, but I just think Venable gives me more hope as a White Sox fan for as far as his leadership than Grifol. So because of that, I just feel like when we get on the other side, we can see it.
Yep.
It's kind of dim now, but when we get to the other side, I think Venable will be standing there with this White Sox team.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, Will's it's so funny because I've seen both sides of him, right? Like when we used to work out together, he's joking around, we're screwing around in San Diego. But when he is doing interviews and he's on the job, he's so stoic. He's got that Marcus Aurelius, right? Like he's very methodical. He processes things in his approach. But yeah, I mean, you can't tell me he doesn't have more swag this year. They've made additions. They've gotten rid of some people that you and I were not the biggest fans of. I'm not sure about Hoodie, but
should we
no. We don't ever listen. We don't ever have to talk about him again. But I will say, side note, we can all agree on one thing: if he's healthy, he's going to go off this year.
It's really piss him off, hope he does. Good for him hitting 7th in New York.
But I'll tell you what, man. Like it's going to be really fun, and I think we touched on it briefly. The White Sox, man, they really do have a chance to be the 2025 Reds.
We've been saying that. I don't think they're quite there. I want them to be. There was a couple more additions I would have liked to see, but this podcast is titled 5 Big Questions as the White Sox enter spring training. For those of you watching or listening, I gave both of these guys the preference. You want them up front, or you want me to hit you off the cuff? I'm going to hit them off the cuff. So these are real responses to questions in the moment. We're going to go, of course, 5 through 1, because why wouldn't we do the build-up? These are, I guess, our 5 questions, my 5 big questions, but I'm making them our 5 big questions. Feel free to add along the way. Let's start with number 5. This was a one I asked about last year, and it's one that Jose Quintana, as we taped this, has signed with the Colorado Rockies. I was kind of itching and clamoring for another Jose Quintana. Jose Quintana kind of getting the Justin Verlander treatment, finishing his career where he started, but I guess that's not going to happen. Hoodie, first question number 5 on our list. Do the White Sox have enough pitching to make it through 162? I'm not talking about contend for a division title or a wild card. Do they have enough pitching?
Yes, they do have enough pitching. And I think they have enough pitching through July to the deadline. And of course, you're going to have to add some kids that we're looking forward to in the minor leagues. But I do think we have enough pitching. Look, Eric Fetty's back. Yes. I know. I'm a Sox fan. I'm excited just for the year. Eric Fetty to be back, right? Yeah. Because last time we did a podcast, we were trying to figure out who's going to be 4 and 5. Yep. I got Shane Smith. I got Anthony Kay. I got Davis Martin. I got Sean Burke. So you know what? I'm happy that you do have 5, and I think that we have enough pitching. Now, the question you always ask is, what about your relief corps? Do you have enough? Will you be trading those assets in July? As is today, since we're talking about this in the offseason in February, I say you have enough pitching to be able to get through 162. Yes.
Okay, because last year I did not think they did. You had guys that had never pitched 100 career innings. That changed. Shane Smith, of course, became an all-star. He looks the part. He's probably and should be named opening day starter. But do you think the White Sox have? And now you just said they could be the 2025 Reds.
Wow.
So let's go with that. Like, do they have? I like the Fetty addition. I guess Fetty cancels out Quintana. You weren't going to bring them both in. Yeah. I don't know why. And we don't really know what to. Anthony Kay is kind of.
This guy wants the old Buick back.
I do. Right? Hey, nothing wrong with the Buick Enclave, Hoodie.
Canerco's taking hacks, and AJ's getting in shape right now too. If you want to get some mid to late 40s comebacks.
Whoa. I'm looking for innings leader. Quintana had a sub-4 ERA last year.
I agree.
But no, do the White Sox have enough pitching? And I'm going to give you an addendum, both of you, to this question here in a second. But do they have enough starting pitching? Because you need 8, 10, 12 arms.
Yeah, but let's just consider where we started with this, right? Me, you, and Hoodie, we've had at length conversations like who's going to have the most saves with 7 or 8, or who's going to have the most wins with 6. So I think that Hoodie brings up a great point. What the White Sox have is they have enough to get to the deadline. And if you can get to the deadline and you're showing signs of compete and you're teetering on that, are we going to get to 500 or are we going to be in the wild card hunt? You certainly can make some moves. So I think if the White Sox are good enough and have enough pitching just to get through mid-June and compete at a high level, they'll certainly make moves or make some adjustments internally or in the minor leagues where they will be able to get through the season.
And we know Schultz and Smith are knocking on the door. I mean, you would also understand that both of those guys are probably going to be monitored differently than any two people.
Smith is breaking camp, dude.
I don't think Hagen Smith. We're not doing.
I need you on board with that.
Hey, this is not the breaking camp. Whoa! This is not the predictions podcast. We'll do the predictions podcast later in spring training when we actually have seen him.
Need you on board,
spring training on a spring training mound. But in terms of pitching, one thing I want to add to that is the White Sox were 15 and 36 in one-run games last year. They went out. You guys know how I feel about closers. I do think they matter if you do it right. Don't throw 70, 80, 100 million at them. They got Sir Anthony Dominguez, and I think it's a huge that might be the reason that you see Will Venable standing a little more firm, a little more straight up, because he can actually work backwards from the ninth inning and put Grant Taylor into a multi-inning Mason Miller type role. Leisure, who had 7 saves, led the White Sox, by the way, in 7 saves. Michael Kopech was your answer for the year before, who was traded at the deadline with 9. For those of you looking for White Sox trivia, looking for a little bit more double digits. And if it doesn't go your way, you have some flexibility to move Dominguez if you want to. But I really like what Chris Getz and company did by going out and getting it at that particular time, the best back-end option left. Hoodie, did you like that move?
I do. Absolutely. Well, you need to have a closer. And here's the thing. If BA's right, like the over 67.5, then Dominguez is going to get, 25 saves?
100%.
or more. So I love Taylor. I love the idea that you got Chris Murphy. You've got Jordan Hicks. You've got Leisure, as we talked about. So at least their bodies. Now we got to find out whether or not they've got it to be able to keep the White Sox in ball games, because you bring this number up all the time. As soon as you hit record on any podcast, you're talking about those one-run games, because that was a bitch. That was hard to watch because the Sox were close, right? But imagine if you were able to have a bullpen that's reliable 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And you now maybe you're winning those games instead of losing them.
You know what's crazy too is you talk about those one-run games, Hoodie. Like the White Sox were like 15 and 30 something.
15 and 36,
if you just clean that up by 5 or 7, you are now like changes the whole trajectory of your season. It's insane. I mean, I think just by cleaning up the back end of the bullpen, adding a bat, going in there competing, those young guys are a little bit more seasoned now. The White Sox, I don't want to make predictions yet, man, but I think they're going to flirt with 80.
You're so giddy. You got a little Garfine in you right now.
Easy, Chuck.
I love Chuck. Chuck's my guy. We didn't even mention guys like Mike Vassell, who's being stretched out as a starter in spring training. Sean Newcomb, who was added, everyone's saying is one of the more dominant left-handed relievers. Secret side note, he was a starter last year at the beginning of the year, so you could see a stretched out situation there. So it sounds like we all agree that they do have enough pitching for now. ... So that gets us to the deadline. All right, question number 4 on the list. Who the hell's playing outfield for the Chicago White Sox? Jonathan Hood.
Okay, so is Benintendi in left field? He'll left field DH, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes DH
for 70 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that. So right field, is that Austin Hayes? Because that can't be Brooks Baldwin. I see her on CNN all the time. I don't think that's good. So I don't think Brooks Baldwin in right field works for me. But
Hayes is probably going to play at maybe both corners at times, I think.
Yes. And then Acuna in center to replace Robert.
And probably some version of Pereira, the kid from Tampa Bay, like the old Yankees top prospect. So yeah, and by the way, Brooks Baldwin sampled in at each of these spots over the course. Never the preference, but sample a splatter of Brooks Baldwin.
Okay, here's what I need. BA, just go get them. I don't expect a lot at the plate immediately from these guys. Well, not Acuna and Hayes or Baldwin, but go get them.
How do you think I survived in the big league for 5 years, dude? They're like, Ozzy would be like, well, fuck, man, he'll catch everything and throw guys out. He may go 1 for 4, 3 punches with like they leave 15 guys on base, but he'll go run it down.
You heard Chris Getz say that he said it right here on the podcast that they're gonna, the outfield is a defensive minded outfield, and that they've creatively come up with other ways to win games. I want to know what that looks like. I think from a pitching standpoint, from a bullpen standpoint, they've shored it up. I don't mind, by the way, that the White Sox don't have a power-hitting outfield. You know why? Because they haven't. What's changed? Where were the home runs coming from the White Sox outfield? I mean, Benintendi had 20. Robert had his little 15 to 18. They haven't had pop from the outfield since 20 years. Yeah. They have not. Like since Carlos Quentin was out there.
Hey, I hit 30. 8 off the bench one time and like 150 at bats, and Kenny Williams was like,
dude, Michael A. Taylor was playing center field like 100 plus times last year.
That's crazy.
So that's why I see a lot of fans out there saying like, who the hell? They don't have a major league outfield. I mean, how do we know? Because the Acuna really wasn't given a chance in New York because their expectation was to win. So high prospect, don't produce. What happens? Boom, we don't have time. Pereira, same deal. Yankees high prospect, don't produce. Ship you to Tampa. Tampa's always tweaking and fixing and moving. He was part of the Adrian Hauser trade. The one thing Chris has said, and I think this is probably, I'll say this, hopefully the last year of having a runway. We're going to know about these guys really quickly. And all of them, to me, whether it's Austin Hayes, who I like that signing, by the way, too. 15, that guy can hit 15 to 20 homers. If in an ideal scenario, and this is nothing against Andrew Benintendi, they would like to move on from Andrew Benintendi, but sorry, that's the contract. But this is all a bridge to Braden. I want that T-shirt. Bridge. I think we should make the bridge to Braden, because when Braden Montgomery does get here, he's not breaking camp, by the way. So settle down. Not
I've been waiting to say it until you're done.
No, the bridge to Braden. The entire outfield looks different when Braden Montgomery's in right field.
Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something real quick before you go jump into conclusions chart here. That he's not breaking camp. Like I'll tell you this. Braden Montgomery's 23 years old. I think he's right. 23, you're going to be 24. I made it to the big leagues. I got called up when I was 23 and at the end of 05, right?
What was happening in 05?
Yeah. I mean, granted, our team was ridiculous. Okay. We were stacked. Mm-hmm. Totally understand. But I'm telling you right now, the White Sox lack so much depth in the outfield. And to Hoodie's point, everything he said sounds great on paper, but one hamstring, Benintendi's banged up and Braden Montgomery goes off in spring, there's absolutely zero reason why you would not have him break camp and then be there with Mydroth and Colson. It just makes sense. It's okay. It has happened before. There has been a rookie that's been broke with camp and just played at a high level. It happens every year except for every team except for the White Sox.
Yeah, but there's no Hoodie. Where do you stand on Braden Montgomery? Last year was his first full professional season and he got to Double-A. Why are we rushing it?
No, it's not rush. I'm simply
because
saying
you have a hole there, though.
No. I'm simply saying lack of depth, any sort of injury, and he goes off. There's guys you watch all the time in camp, and you break. You're like, damn, that guy. What is he? Rookie? He's like, oh, he was only in the minor leagues for a year. It has happened before. That's all I'm saying.
So this is what's going to happen. All right, it's going to be a chilly day in April, right, or like early May. Okay. And there's going to be Sox fans sitting there with their Miller Lite, and they're going to be like, you know what? Braden should be up here right now. I'm tired of seeing this. And there's going to be Section 108, and all the Sox fans are going to have this big banner, and they're going to turn it toward the Sox box, and there's going to be pressure to bring him in. I expect to see him in 2026. Will it be day one? No. But there is going to be pressure with the Sox podcast, the Sox REKAP Podcast, Section 108. There's going to be banners. There's going to be a theme where they have no other choice. We'll have to bring them up.
Got it.
So I don't need them in April, but I like to see them in July.
Real quick, there's got to be some side bets going on just on a recap.
Yeah, May 13th, Kansas City. May 13th, Kansas City, Wednesday night.
That sounds just about right.
Paid attendance, 12,340.
How old is he, by the way? Is he 23? Is he 23 yet? Is he 23 yet? He's close.
I'm sorry.
Because I coached against him when he was at Stanford as a freshman. And let's be clear, he can play center, but my God, when you see him in right field,
he'll be 23 in April.
Bazooka.
You are right. He's 23 in April.
He's got a bazooka.
He's 23 in April.
This is how it works, BA. You just sit there and you're watching a guy roll over the second, roll over the short. It's like the fifth or sixth inning. You just start to get a little antsy, and you go, fuck this. Yep. I want Braden right now.
And
all of a sudden, it's going to be a chant, and it's going to go around the ballpark.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a thing.
Especially if he's got 7 homers the first month.
Well, and the outfield, the entire outfield's hitting 6th, 7th, 8th in your lineup. Roll over.
Yeah,
so,
it's going to be a thing. Just what?
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah,
it's not going to be April, but it's going to be a time. I think he gave you a good date right there. Mid-May, a little chilly still. You're just kind of looking around like, you know what? Montgomery should be with the ball club right now.
Yeah, but nowadays, Hoodie, they don't even say, they don't boo anybody anymore. They just have signs that say sell the team. A guy rolls over, it's Jerry's fault.
Come on, Jerry. I think we started this thing with there is optimism here, and let's go to question number 3, because I think the biggest reason we were optimistic last year is because of that. You heard Venable start the podcast with the way they played in the second half. They're starting over at 0, but the momentum. You look at the White Sox offensively in the second half; they were top 7 in most categories. That's like an under the radar little stat there. That the White Sox off, and then they changed hitting coaches, which I don't mind about that. But the question is this: does the majority of the core take a step forward rather than a step back? And the reason I say, Goff, what's with the step back? Because we've seen this play out before. Someone's going to take a step back because that's how baseball works. But can the majority of what you've seen from the 8+ guys that we talked about so much last year, and BA, I'll start with you on this one. Do you believe that you've seen enough that this group, who's asked to be taking more of a leadership role, the Chase Mydross, the Colson Montgomerys, the Shane Smiths, etc., the Edgar Carrolls, the Kyle Teals, can that group, as a unit, take a big step forward to truly propel this 60-win team with momentum in the second half to the possibility of the 2025 Cincinnati Reds?
Those 4 core guys you mentioned on the offensive side are so exciting. I mean, I don't know if Mydroth deserves a bobblehead yet. I thought that was a stretch. Come on, dude. That's a true story. Hey, I swear to God, I'm going to tell
Don't
Brooks,
you blaspheme in here. Don't you blaspheme in here.
I like Chase Mydroth, but my God, I'm going to tell Brooks Boyer. So am I getting one of my diving catch because I showed up for a game in 08? But no, but my thing is that group is freaking sweet. But we have discussed at great length again, it's all a matter of those younger guys. Like a guy like Mydroth's going to be consistently good because he's a smaller guy, bat to ball. But Colson Montgomery, he's going to hit a snag this year. Yep. I think it's going to be early, but he's just got to get out of that April rut. He may take off and go off, but man, it's just a matter of how quick can he get out of that shit rut that you always go through when you're a young player.
I mean, Hoodie, how can you not like the Chase Mydroth bobblehead?
No.
I mean, it's got dirt. He's got dirt. He's got the helmet flipping off. He's got the flow.
The stash.
The stash.
That's actually pretty cool.
This guy, complete this.
For the record, Chase, I love you as a player, but I was hoping you'd have that, 280 with 15 and 75, and then I'd buy your bobblehead.
280.
Oh my God, this is our igniter. Don't you understand that?
75 RBIs.
It's gonna be our pods.
I love that guy. I love easy now.
Hoodie, what do you think of the core? Step forward, step back, middle.
Okay, well, here's the difference between football and baseball. Football, you get a chance to be able to put your best foot forward. All of a sudden, you have this charm season, and then there's always injuries or a little bit of a step back from the quarterback position. There's always something, right?
Yep.
But I think in baseball, I think it's different because when you're young, and BA can speak to this better than anybody, when you're young, you don't know what you don't know. All right, so the expectations. The expectations is for you to have professional at-bats, be solid defensively, and to be able to just do your best out there. I don't think that there is a lot of pressure on this young team. I do not. So when I think about the Teals and the Mydroths and the Montgomerys and the Vargases and the Acuñas and the veteran Hayes, I just think that these guys are going to be free and easy and try to play the game the right way. I don't think of a step back. I don't. If there was real expectations like this team was supposed to make the playoffs, then maybe. But because of where you came from, I feel like you're going to get better than you had last year. I'm optimistic about that. Man, I can't say across the board, BA, but I can say there's a number of key guys that'll be like, you know what? Just get a professional BA.
As a unit for sure. It's just individually think about how much the White Sox rode that Colson Montgomery wave last year. If he starts hanging up like 0 for 12s with 7 punch outs in a series, like which one of those 3 or 4 guys like a Teal is going to have to step up?
They might all go like
shit, maybe.
But here's what I'm with Hoodie, like full go here on this one. And I'll give a lot of credit to this. I think a big reason is Will Venable is a guy, when they look the back of his baseball card, it says something. And it says 8 to 10 years, playoff teams. And then how did he get here? Hall of Fame managers. It's not Pedro Grifol. You're like ChatGPT. Like, who is Pedro Grifol?
Right.
What are the 15 roles he held within the Royals? And then you look, I said this to Getz. Getz has gone in 2021. If we're sitting here doing this podcast 5 years ago, they had 20 members on their Major League Baseball operations staff. Do you know how many they have now? 45.
That's a lot.
I was hesitant about Chris when they hired him because it looked like the easy hire, right? He has been allowed to actually go out and do his job and add staff and a lot of behind the scenes work. I don't know if it's going to work, but thus far and how they approached last year in regards to this particular question about the core, where they brought up guys in April and then if you were ready, you came up. We didn't hear about Super 2. We didn't hear about, options. It was, Hoodie, we need you to go down to Arizona. It's going to be unconventional. You got to buy in. Chase Mydroth, we thought you were going to break camp. You're trying to hit the ball too much. 2 weeks later, he's up. Edgar Carroll's up. Kyle Teal was ready in June. We already have a catcher here. Doesn't matter. I loved it. It was the first time in my White Sox fandom life that I ever saw the White Sox just say, you go play, we'll make those decisions, and then you'll all come up and learn together. So I'm with you. The bridge to Braden, Schultz, Smith, when those guys are ready, they're coming into a very strong group that kind of understands what the mission is. And when they look around and they're looking for veteran leadership, they are the leadership. And I like that.
I've already sent Smith and Montgomery real estate agent info just to start shopping in Chicago. All right. So I'm actually starting to think here through 3 questions that we're more of the 2025 Reds than I thought we were. Hey, we're getting excited. Look at you get the band back together. You start to get a lot of heat.
For those of you just listening, Hoodie is using the pump and braid signal, which I was going to get back to.
Hold on. It's Venable, not Tito in the dugout. Okay. Francona could turn, clearly as we get closer to Easter, he could turn water into wine. So, that's what Francona does. That's a miracle what he did to get him in the playoffs. Hold on a second now. At least the Reds had talent. Be careful now. We have young talent. That's the difference. Be careful now.
Hey, I don't know if you heard before, but Tito did manage Michael Jordan. Let's go to question number 2. You can make an argument that this is question number one. We're going to hear from Will Venable before we give an answer. But Mooney Murakami fell into the White Sox laps. And he's getting a lot of rave reviews, right? We're seeing the 25-second Twitter clips of, he's hitting balls he's getting 65
to the moon,
65 mile an hour BP fastballs down the plate that require no adjustment. But look, 6 months ago, there wasn't one of us that was saying the White Sox were in on a guy that a lot of people thought would be a $100 million player. So Mooney Murakami, the buzz is real at White Sox camp. Here's Will Venable on day one.
He's got a powerful stroke. Certainly excited to get him going here, get him involved in the program, and watch him go and do his thing in games.
Have you talked much with him since he's gone home?
Yeah, I was able to connect with him. Really personable guy. Somebody that is going to be a great guy in our clubhouse, going to make an impact. Really excited to have him both in the clubhouse and on the field.
All right. So question number two.
Sorry, I'm texting real quick. I'm texting Dan Flood to get some of those hats.
Once you get
Welcome back.
Yeah, help a brother.
I got you, hoodie. You want one?
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Come on, orange whip.
Okay, got it. I'm on it.
Just like at the bar. Come on, BA.
I got you.
Come on.
Yeah, you're
Candy
around.
set aside.
Yeah, credit card roulette. You're up. Mooney Murakami, hoodie. While he's getting his text in, we'll start with you. Will he / can he be a star?
Guff.
By the way,
Go ahead.
By the way, we can define star. So
Okay.
you can define star for however you'd like, but can he be a star?
Guff. Either this is going to be spectacular, or he's going to be your mean Mercedes. and I don't know which it is. I know that that's not the question, but I don't know what to expect. I like your mean for like 70 games was fun. Nothing like taking on a position player. You got green light 3-0 hitting a home run.
And your man is shitting all over it. Yep.
So I mean, that was fun just for a little bit to see a guy that was unpredictable. But in the same vein, I don't know what to expect. My hope is that when we talk about these young players and whether or not they're going to take a step back, a step forward, that Murakami could be one of those guys that can lead.
Yeah.
May not speak the language, but again, he could be able to do it with his play. And so I believe that he can be a difference maker and not a trade deadline guy. I expect him to be with the team through 2026 into 2027 if there's a season. So star, don't know about star, but difference maker along with young guys, sure.
Yeah, what a great piece. Eminem is hitting tanks, but I would argue too, Jim Tomei throws on the gear at 55 years old and launches absolute nukes to right center and BP. But again, this guy is so exciting. He often gets drowned out. Like it's one of those things you just brought up, and I'm like, I completely forgot what an impact this guy could have. I mean, he goes out there. I don't know what he's doing, taking ground balls at third base. That's blasphemy. But he starts rolling out there at 260 with 25. I think that's an amazing sign. Then he's going to be gone. But what are you going to do? I'm
with Hoodie on this. I think the White Sox, as a front office, this was creativity at its finest.
Huge.
They were checking in on the player that they knew was going to be too much, that wasn't going to be to their terms. And the posting window that's the beautiful thing about the Japanese market. I wish every player had a posting window, because then it's like, dude, it's December 11th. Your posting window's tomorrow. And there are teams going, we don't know about that guy that we want to spend 5 for 150 on. And so what happens? Those teams get weeded out that might have wanted Murakami. And then the White Sox come in and go, we'll give you $17 million a year. It's going to be short term. Prove it with us. Let us get rich off the deal.
Yeah.
And then let's see what happens. I'm with you. I don't know what to expect, but I think from everything I've heard, and I talked to Anthony Kay, he was on the podcast last week from Sox Fest, who faced him in Japan. And now he said his floor is Kyle Schwarber. And I said, Anthony, with all due respect, do you the ceiling? I think the ceiling's Kyle Schwarber. And he was like, no, I understand what I said. The floor. And I was like, well, then this is the best move in the history of the Chicago White Sox, because that's insanity to me. You're talking about an MVP type. But he said the one thing, he said he's a $100 million player, and I really believe the guy's going to have a chip on his shoulder because of it. And if that's the case, that tells me he's going to work his ass off, and the power's power. So I'm expecting 30 homers. I am. I'm expecting 30 homers. Hoodie, what were you going to say?
I was just going to ask about Murakami as far as what the White Sox are doing with it from a from a sponsorship standpoint.
Well, the days in the clubhouse.
And they got it on the north side. It's called Sloan, so I'm sure they have that over there.
I can tell you this. This is a fact. I could tell you that I know for a fact that Brooks Boyer has already been to Japan, and other teams, other members of their front office are making trips over to Japan from a sponsorship standpoint. And that's a great question you ask, because I think this is twofold. The revenue you can bring in from the Japanese market. It's usually what? It's always West Coast or New York, and that's it. And here's middle of America right here with direct flights to Tokyo. That the White Sox, yes, they've had small dabbles, Shingo Takatsu, Tadahito Iguchi, and then really nothing. Fukudome, that was the back end of the Cubs.
Well, one thing about Gooch too is he's so mild mannered and so quiet. He had that like quiet confidence. This guy seems to be a lot more marketable.
Yeah, and that's, I love that. Like, they're going over there saying he's Babe Ruth of Japan and everything. So to Hoodie's point, let's see it. Like, let's see that behind. I want to see behind home plate Japanese lettering. I want to see that. Like, and I said this after going to the Dominican Winter League in 2019 with the first group of the rebuild. We went to a Winter League game together, and I said, Brooks, you got to do a Dominican Winter League night. Do a Japanese night. Do you know that in the Japanese? I'm flying off tangent here. There are certain sections. If you pay for the 100 level, if you're buying these tickets, you cannot cheer for the opposing team. Love that. Bring something like that. Get creative with the creativity, because here's the thing: if this guy hits 280 with 45 homers and easily wins the Rookie of the Year
at 30,
start thinking about what that second contract likes and make that MFR as comfortable as you possibly can.
Even from a marketing standpoint, like, this is those situations where it would behoove the White Sox. I mean, it would be huge for the White Sox to be in a good spot, because, those Japanese teams, they feed off that energy. I mean, he's used to playing with the Yakult Swallows, I believe. Former agent Terry Bross pitched for them through a no-hitter. He told me the energy's insane out there, right? So if you can get the 108 guys and all those guys really rallying behind this dude,
they're going to rally.
This guy's going to feed off that. I think the only way this guy has a mediocre season is if the White Sox off the jump are just terrible. He's miserable. He wants out. But if the White Sox are good and competing at a high level, this dude is going to thrive.
I think that really helps out from a marketing standpoint. Now you're bringing new fans into the rate if Murakami is hot. The other question I would have, and I think we all have this, BA, is so the White Sox got Murakami, huh? Was there even a close second? How come the Braves didn't get him? I mean, you do wonder about some of the, what do you call, better organizations that really have good scouting departments. And
they were all scared about the contact. They're scared about the contact rate and the high percentage of strikeouts. So if you're a team with a big runway, I do know this: the flights to Japan were important to him. So if you had to connect from Phoenix to get to Atlanta,
or Atlanta to Dallas,
to get to Pittsburgh, because I would be like, why the Pirates are spending money? Why are the Pirates giving 3 years? $65 million.
You know what I'm asking you though. You know what I'm asking is I see the number that he's making. I'm like, Sox, huh? And I just want to know who was second and third on that list, because I don't want to have someone that can't help us. I think he can. But it's always suspicious when you have that. It's like, oh, Sox got him for a song.
Well, it could be like what you said, right, Guff? Like, it could have been just that perfect storm of the timing, right? Like, the window was closing. Other teams were waiting on other players. Like, they had that money tied up, or, had that money tied up with other players that they might potentially sign. But, that it could have just been that 24-hour window where the White Sox just struck gold.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of luck here. On Hoodie, I think that your red flag is very reasonable. I do. I think it's why the White Sox, right? Why the White Sox on a guy that looked like he was going to make $100 million? And we've seen the flood of Japanese talent since Ohtani. It's been really good. It's been extremely strong. So how did this guy get through the cracks? I don't know the answer to it, but I'll say this: if he comes and flops for 2 years, $34 million, this is to me a reward sign.
No one's pissed about that.
It's a reward. There's zero risk in this signing whatsoever for the Chicago White Sox. You're not blocking anybody. He's not blocking any young kid. Braden Montgomery's not behind him. They have zero left-handed power.
None.
And if this guy comes and hits 240 with 30 bombs, it protects. Look at what it does to Teal and Montgomery.
If he's Adam Dunn, it's a win.
Well, hopefully it's not 159 with 212.
No, I'm talking 220 with 40.
Yeah.
That's still a W.
So
It is.
and one more thing about Mooney before this, because it's definitely the best of the questions. It's the most curious one.
Okay.
I just think the curiosity factor alone across not just new people coming to the rate, just I could see MLB Network. Let's do a check-in. Let's go to Chicago. Mooney Murakami's up to the plate now. There's going to be just that, let's see what this guy's about for a while on the national stage. And just the eyeballs alone, that if he can raise the game of somebody else, that's why I think if you put him at like fourth, hit him cleanup, and you got Teal 3 and Montgomery 4 or Montgomery 5, like just the power alone.
Which Montgomery are you talking about?
I'm talking about Colson.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mr.
Sure.
Braden's breaking camp. All right. Are we good on Mooney?
You're so good.
No one thinks he's going to be a star except for me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. The last one. And it's a question that I think we've already answered.
I've been trying to cheat the entire time and get a look at that thing.
What do you think? Okay. Okay. How about this? Let's get a quick. If you were asking number one, what would it be?
How many wins will the White Sox have
That's
the first month?
That's a prediction podcast. Hoodie, what would you think the number one question is?
Is Lenine Sosa going to make the ball club?
He's still around?
Is that our DH? Because I'm all out on that. That would be the question I would ask at number one.
I don't see, all these mock lineups, and I never see the guy who had 20 home runs.
We crack on him, but then every time I'd cover a game on CHSN, I'd be like, Lenine Sosa, double on a homer, and no one else hit. So
the White Sox have 243 losses the last 2 years. 243 losses the last 2 years. My number one question is, can we be excited about the 2026 White Sox? And at what point, sorry to interrupt, at what point would that excitement turn to question?
Question about
why was I excited about this team?
Which is what you generally ask yourself about the All-Star break.
Yeah. All right. So what can we be excited about the White Sox?
We always tell the truth here on the Sox recap, so we got to tell the truth. The truth is that we don't know what tomorrow brings with Major League Baseball. So I'm going to go to as many games as possible with you guys because 2026, we have to bottle it up. Yep. Yes, I think I'm excited about the White Sox because it's about youth. If it's just a bunch of tomato cans out there, guys that are on the bottom of the scrap heap or guys that you wouldn't have on your fantasy baseball team, then you're spinning your wheels. But we're not the Rockies. We're not. We are a team with young players. Murakami's interesting. The pitching's interesting. So yes, when I put in my ticket for over 67.5 wins, I stand by it because this will be better than last year.
I totally agree. I think regardless of what the record ends up being this year, you have 4 or 5 chips on the offensive side to root for every single game. You know that Chris Getz and the staff and the administration went out, the front office went out and made moves. So they checked that box. They brought back a couple players that we liked, like Fetty, right? So they're doing things that the fans are actually behind. And again, I think that if you can ride that wave of we have young talent, we brought in a power bat, few arms, and solidified the back end of the bullpen, you're off to a fresh start. I think it wipes the slate clean.
I think you nailed it right there, Hoodie. I do. I think 2027, it's at the front. It's on the front burner of how the White Sox are built and how Major League Baseball executives are looking. And it should be on the front burner how fans are watching, attending, and cheering for their favorite team. If this was heading into 2024, this would be miserable. Everything about it would be miserable. I don't even know if I would want to even put myself through it, knowing that a strike could be looming. But because of what the White Sox have done, how Chris Getz has positioned this particular group of youth and players and talent, not just, before it was like, we have all this pitching, but we have one infielder. It's like there's talent everywhere and there's more coming. Yeah. And there's so much excitement. And then the players that they've signed, this is what I like about 2026. They could flip guys at the deadline. They could keep them past the deadline. They have allowed themselves flexibility, not just financially, but also in the 2-year deal type situation, whether it's Dominguez, Murakami, et cetera, to say, let's see how this season plays out. And let's see what happens with the labor strike, because that's out of everyone's control. Mm-hmm. Chris Getz has zero control how that will play out. Everyone hopes that there's no strike. As we sit here now, it's impossible to predict. It feels like there's going to be a long, dirty one. Let's hope not. But I'll say this about how Getz, and my answer to the question is absolutely. I think you could be excited. Because you know what happened? You know how the White Sox have positioned themselves post 2027? Do you know how many players are on the books contractually in 2028? Anybody?
No.
All of them.
That'd be zero. They have zero long-term commitments after 2027. They have all of the guys obviously under control for arbitration. They have no Benintendi's. They have no Roberts. They have no Murakami's. They have no money. And with the way the White Sox could be taking this thing, if they were to make I don't expect them to make a 19-game jump again. But if it's double digits, 10, 11, 12, other teams are going to start looking around going, what the hell did the White Sox do after that group got fired? That people are coming in, having great success, and are wanting to go there again. And I think the whole thing is exciting. I do. I don't think it's just on the field. I'm getting nerdy about some of the stuff behind the scenes, and I don't think enough fans care about the behind the scenes because it doesn't equal wins and losses, but I think it does. And I think for the first time ever, we're seeing a non Kenny, Rick, just that whole 30 years of incestual hires that are happening, and we're finally seeing benefits of hiring other people outside of the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, just remember the Chris Getz. No one shops at the Aldi and makes a meal like Chris Getz. It's exactly right.
It's true. I like that. Hey, I love Aldi, man.
Hey,
I know.
I was telling my son about Aldi the other day. When we were kids, and Hoodie, you'll love this. When we were kids, you went to Aldi and you got green beans. The can said green beans, and that's all.
That's all.
It was a yellow label. It had no nutritional value. It just said green beans. It's like, okay, I guess this is what mom needs. Now it's like organic green beans from the farm field.
Oh,
Aldi. I love Aldi. Aldi's got.
And the reason why I said that is because that's that crushed green beans, and it's half off, right? It's that open bag of dog food that's just displayed all over the floor, but it's half price. And it's like, you know what? Getz takes that bag and says, "Fuck it, put it in the cart." So he's making a meal with all of this stuff, right? That's
Acuna,
it. That's
Pereira, Vargas.
CBA. This is not Whole Foods moves.
No, or Mariano.
Not yet.
No, there's no hot bar with the White Sox.
No.
No, it's not. It's just that crushed can of green beans, and you're like, you know what? Throw it in the cart.
What would you call Murakami? Would he be like the guy that got is he the new product at Aldi? Completely still in the bag?
It just says pork chops.
No, it's a hoodie. I was at Aldi the other day, and I actually looked over there, and it said they had an egg white carton there, and I'm like, okay, you guys have egg white carton, but they also had protein bread. I'm like, I'm not shopping here anymore. You guys have changed.
Yeah.
It said protein bread.
The produce section at Aldi in the 80s was cans. Yeah. Okay, it was definitely not fresh greens. Okay,
that's it, and that's what Chris is doing. And you know what? I'm gonna put it all in the pot. You know what? I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna make a meal. I'm going to make a meal, and I'm going to make a White Sox as close to 70 wins as possible. Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's actually starting to taste kind of good. And you're going, where'd you get this? He's going, Aldi. And I'm like, I've heard they've changed.
Tastes good. Murakami tastes good. Can I have a little bit more, please? Oh, a little teal, please, over here.
Oh, a little Sir Anthony Dominguez, please.
Could you find me on my draw, please? Just bring it to the table. Thank you very much. That's it.
It's too good.
Well, I think did we hit the big questions? Is there?
I think we did. Wait, am I sensing you putting a bow on it?
You're starting to feel the bow coming, aren't you?
Wrap.
Yeah. Hoodie, do you feel good about the 5 questions?
I feel great about it. I want another 5. I'm ready. Give me another 5.
Well, that'll be part 2 when we actually look to the prediction. We're definitely doing the three-way predictions because
I was hot last year.
He did win the predictions. I think he won 4 of the 14 categories. Which is all you need. You just need to hit 271 on this podcast, and you will win yourself an opportunity for a beer at a ball game. Which, Hoodie, I'll buy you one anyway, even if you don't win the season predictions.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. You're a good egg. I don't care what BA says about you.
This has been the White Sox Recap Podcast. It is officially baseball season. It's good to see it. It's good to see it. It's good to say it. BA is back. It's good to have you back. Hoodie, always good to have you back. I knew you were doing it.
Absolutely.
I knew he was switching the wardrobe.
What do you mean?
For those of you watching, Hoodie went with his favorite National League ball club. He switched out the Southside hat to the Milwaukee Brewers.
It's been on here the whole time.
Been on here the whole time. Just like this jersey, for the first time in probably 2 months, Hoodie didn't have to stop the podcast and say, I'm not doing this podcast with Ernie Banks staring at me. So
it's a Sox podcast. Just be genuine Sox. I don't know why. I don't know why, Portage. I got to keep telling you this, but it's the Sox podcast. Okay.
Careful,
Did he just call
man.
you Portage?
He did call me
Portage, Indiana.
Hey, Portage, Indiana, been a bit. Hey, hot place to be. Home values are doubling by the minute in Portage, Indiana. So,
Speaking of Aldi,
yeah, speaking of Aldi, it might be the home of the new White Sox park after the Bears say no thank you, because that is coming. That's coming next. Thanks for watching this edition of the White Sox Recap Podcast. Thanks for listening wherever you listen or subscribe to podcasts. If you don't already subscribe to the recap, come on, what are you doing? Join 250,000 people who have already done that. Click the notification bell every time we drop a new podcast. Boom, you get the notification. For Hoodie, for BA, I'm Guff. We'll see you next time on the White Sox Recap Podcast.